Hello.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
I old person must need a bit of you need more.
No, it's okay.
Okay, today we are on Parents Huddle. You realize the format is slightly different. Today we decided to be a little bit more informal, casual. Looks like we're going to have a debate. Because we're all sitting down, very weird, right? We're like getting into the election fever, but nah, we're not going to be talking politics. Yeah. So we're going to talk today. We are going to talk about something that's very real, and it affects quite a lot of women postnatally. So we won't be just sharing our experiences today, but we'll also be inviting someone really special on our set, so that just hear from us, from you may get to hear from someone who maybe meets a little bit more mothers post birth. We do meet a lot, but most people don't tell us their problems. I mean, it's something that unfortunately is like skeletons in the closet. Most people don't talk about it, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and it doesn't mean that when somebody has postnatal depression, that means they are crazy, because that's what society actually unfortunately sees it as, and as a result, a lot of women are not getting help. And today, in today's society, I guess most of us have to work and take care of the family, and you've got a new baby, you don't have an extended family to live with, or maybe you live with one and your views and your opinions don't quite gel together as one. So not just purely because of that, but what I'm trying to say is that there are a lot of stresses that modern women go through, and as a result, that can have effect on you as well, especially when the hormones are kind of goes haywire after birth, during, after birth, and then there's a new baby to manage as well. So all this adds up, and it's really crazy. So if that's the first time you're joining us, Parents Huddle is a show we put together by parents for parents, and we hope you share with your friends. So please like and share our video. Yeah, today we're trying out something really interesting. I think Michelle was talking about having it in stream both on Facebook as well as somewhere else.
Unfortunately, we couldn't get Instagram today.
Yeah, we thought it might be easier that we have Instagram working for us, so the video you can watch in your Instagram feed as well. But it seems that the provider that we are using doesn't work quite well on Instagram, so I think it's something that maybe it's technical. I don't know. But well, here we are. You can still catch us on Facebook Live every Monday, except the 5th Monday of the month. So it's during lunch hours, so we call it Parents Huddle on Mondays. And today we're going to have some special guests joining us. Like I mentioned, she's a postnatal doula from Blooming Births. We'll talk a little bit more about her later on when it's her turn to be up. All right. So Michelle, what's your experience with postnatal depression?
So I go first?
Yeah, please.
Okay. All right. So like Pauline mentioned earlier, today, although we are going to share our own real life motherhood experience with postnatal depression, or often also known as postpartum depression, it's actually very different from baby blues. I actually went to do a little bit of research. So baby blues basically last for a little while, only about 2 weeks, although the symptoms are very similar. So when I have 2 kids, Pauline has 3. So we've been to a fair
No,
share.
I'm not a winner. This says a lot of people have more kids than me actually.
Yeah, but like I think all our journeys postpartum are different.
I heard my Miss Admin laughing.
Miss Admin has 5. But the thing is, not all women go through postpartum depression. But it so happened that both of us are someone that experienced postpartum depression after giving birth. My first one wasn't as bad as my second. With my first birth, with my oldest child, she's 5 now, and the depression lasted about a good 5 months, I think, about 5 months, quite long ago, so I can't fully remember the extent of it. But basically, some of the symptoms that maybe you guys who are watching, you can look out for, whether you're a dad, you can look out for the mom, or if you're a mom yourself and you feel all these things, then maybe you want to, like, you know, get some support or something. So some of the things that I experienced with my first child is that I would cry every single day. Every single day I would cry. I would cradle her in my arms and I would cry like for almost like nothing. Like I felt like it's empty inside. Like there was no reason. Like I just wanted to cry and I felt extremely sad most of the time. I felt like I didn't have any support. That may or may not be true. I'm not sure at that point of time. And I felt basically that I was all alone, tackling everything. And it didn't help when people were like commenting. I'm sure you went through it as well. Like, is the baby having enough milk? Are you breastfeeding the right way?
That's,
you know,
that's the number one common question new mothers get. Well, I mean, if it's the first time, just to advertise a bit, maybe you can like and share so that
Yes.
people can actually benefit from this series. If you've got a mom, you know, who just given birth or just given birth not too long ago, or even someone who plans to have kids later on, I think it's important that we actually know about such things earlier. So as Michelle said just now, she mentioned about having the first child and then having depression because she was maybe people ask her questions like breastfeeding kind of related. It kind of like rouse somebody, especially when the chemical imbalance, your hormone levels kind of fluctuates after birth, that kind of stuff. I think it's quite normal. But I don't think anyone is wired wrongly. And you know, sometimes when we have the postnatal blues or even more seriously depression, a lot of times we perceive things as being very threatening. But a lot of times it's not that the people around us are mean or anything like that. It's just that, you know,
somehow just triggers
negative
feelings.
I mean, we can be a little bit nicer to the people around us, especially when they have just given birth.
Yes.
Like lending a listening ear more than talking too much.
Right.
That's why the universe gives us 2 years and just 1 month. You're supposed to listen more than talk. But unfortunately for new moms, a lot of times they do get a lot of comments about whether they have enough milk, whether they are living with their in-laws, with their own parents, whose confinement, if you call it, or afterbirth experiences might be a bit different, and they may have some doubted beliefs, and that's not going to change like overnight. It's kind of a clash.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure family members that, so let's say they pass all these comments, I'm pretty sure they definitely don't mean it in a bad way, like they are concerned. In a good way, actually. It's just that sometimes, like Pauline mentioned, like it just affects us so negatively. Like we start doubting ourselves. Like, are we not capable as mothers? Are we not, feeding our babies enough? Are we failing in any kind of way? Like it's like a failure kind of feeling. But we just want to assure you that this, either it's baby blues symptoms, but usually baby blues only last up to 2 weeks. However, if you have postpartum depression and it lasts, this feeling of failure lasts for a long time. Some people, like some women, even experience it up to 1 year. And mind you, 1 in 7 women are actually affected by postpartum depression. It has been researched widely and extensively, and I think it's
quite a big number. It's more than 10%.
Yes, correct. And a mental state of a mom is actually very important, and the support network that she has around her will actually help pick her up, because not all mothers are just built the same. Obviously, we're all humans and we're all different, and not everyone is equally strong to just like, oh, I'm gonna snap out of this. No, for some people, they need help, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is what we want to say today. And for my second birth, I'll try to summarize that one. It was a little worse. It lasted for 1 year, almost a year, and had different symptoms this time. I did not eat my meals properly. I skipped dinner for 1 entire year. And this is very personal, but I think it should be highlighted. I sat at the latch of my window, when my kid was 6 months, because I was going through a very hard time. and I was separating as well at the same time. So it was definitely a feeling of failure, and I wanted to end it all. And but I was very lucky. I did have some extended family and quite a handful of friends who said I shouldn't give up. I should keep continuing. And I'm very happy that I met Pauline as well. She was also part of this journey. So it still affects me until today. But I think I'm very lucky and I pulled through it. And you guys out there, if you are struggling, please go and find support. It's so important. You have to get through it, not just for the sake of your children, but for yourself as well. So we will talk more about where you can get support later on. But basically, in summary, this is my story and my experience, and it's not worth giving up your life for anything, basically.
Yeah. Well, I guess it is an emotional time for a lot of people when you just give birth. There's so much to deal with for Michelle. Thank you, Michelle, for sharing your story. I think she was very brave. She put through everything, and a lot of times she was handling things by herself. But what I want to say is that when she shared the figures with you, 1 in 7 women, I would say that I have seen a lot of people as mothers coming to us, and while most people would tell us things like that, but amongst our customers, we can also sometimes spot things like if they're having issues, and when they talk to us, especially on weekdays, yeah. So if you come down for fitting on a weekday, yeah, sometimes we have moms who share with us how they are getting on with their lives with the new ones, and we do hear a lot of stories. Sometimes it's related to people around them. Even those with very supportive family, it doesn't mean that they can't get any of these. I would say people will think that, oh, because your environment doesn't gel with you and stuff like that, and then you get depression. That's really not the case. Even if you have a very supportive family, you may get thoughts, negative thoughts, and all the time, and it kind of affects you not just emotionally, but a lot of times because of depression. It's something that nobody wants to talk about, but it's really there. And if you try to hide it more, it just makes you feel worse. And if you don't get the right help you need, then it can actually spiral out of control and take a really drastic turn, which we hope nobody does. Personally, I've got 3 kids, as Michelle mentioned just now. With my first child, I had depression. And the second one probably as well, because mine was pretty extreme. It's not just the chemical stuff, but I mean, then I had to cope with staying home, and then of course income wasn't stable. I was doing freelance and stuff like that. And while the husband is there to support, he also kind of lost, kind of like left his job, so we kind of like freelance. And there was a tremendous pressure from well, my part of the family. So there was a lot of like people demanding for this and that, and then you realize that you can't cope, and then with the little ones, I've got 2 kids. The first 2 kids are 19 months apart, so I literally have to look after them myself with no helper. And then I was, in today's context, I'm considered quite a young mother. 21 as I was with, I already had 2 kids. I mean, kudos to those people. I have friends who have like at early 20s, they already have a couple. That's different. And maybe they really take life very easily. But there were so many things that happened in the family. I had my grandparents who were they looked after me when I was really young, and they passed away like when my number 2 was just like 2 months old or something like that. And then my mother-in-law had health issues, and husband was unfortunately away all the time at the hospital and stuff like that. So it was a really trying time because I was trying to do part-time work as well. I think I was also sleeping for months. I was sleeping at maybe 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. I've got to wake up at 7 a.m. because to look after the child. And subsequently, I was pregnant, and then I think it's kind of accumulated. So depression was quite a while. And like Michelle, I was suicidal at some point. And so while some people think that I'm a very strong person, but it's not about you being strong or not. At the end of the day, some things you just cannot explain. To all the mothers out there, I would like you to know that you are never going to be alone. That this is real. It happens to a lot of women, whether we admit it or not. Some people get the help they need. Some people recover because maybe it's not that deep. Some people actually need medication, and that's when you need to see a psychologist or psychiatrist. For my case, I saw a psychiatrist for a while. For my third one, I decided to take some preventive measure, which is why we got Chantel. She's joining us later, postpartum doula, as well as a birth doula. So basically, one of the ways is, okay, I don't know whether it's science tested or not and that kind of stuff, but I heard about this thing called placenta encapsulation. So I did that, and given my current diet, I would never done that. But I'm not too sure. It's something that really helps, but I thought it did to help me. So I leave it up to you. You can find out more about ways to help yourself prevent that. But it's very important that you take care of yourself, and that we're going to have Chantel talk to us about that in a little while. So I mean, that's my experience. Does anybody have anything that you want to share? Okay, Parents Huddle again is a show created for parents as well. So we would like a lot of more parents to join us, not just moms. So if you can help us like and share your problems as well on our feed, and our admin will pull up anything that needs that we should be addressing. So interesting thoughts and interesting ideas, please share with us. You can let us know if you have had a similar experience, and how did you cope with it. I think it will help. Okay, I'm not going to have another child, so it's going to help me, but I think it's going to help a lot of parents out there who wish you have the help you need when you needed it most, and a lot of times our families may not be the right people to provide it. It helps to have a supportive husband first, family as well, but I think a lot of times, like maybe in Michelle's case, sometimes she also needs some help from her friends, and that's where everybody comes in, this village. All right, so I'm not sure if Chantel is ready. Okay, Chantel is a postpartum doula. She's also a birth doula. Okay, what is a doula? I'll let her explain to you. She's from Blooming Births, and she's been doing this for a while. Hello, Chantel. You're on air. Can you see us?
Yes, I can. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Pauline. Thanks for letting me be a part. Hi, thanks for letting me be a part of this. First, I want to say thank you for being open and sharing both your experiences. I think it takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength to share with the world how vulnerable the both of you were, and definitely this is something that will help a lot of parents realize that, hey, like you're not alone. There's so many of us out there that experience this as well. Yeah. So
maybe you can share with us more about what you do, Chantel.
Yeah. So basically, I'll just give you a little introduction on myself. So I'm a birth and postpartum doula. And for some of you who are not familiar with what a doula is, essentially we're like a birth coach. So we support and guide parents during pregnancy, birth, and into parenthood. So when a family goes to the hospital to labor, I actually go with them and help them through the labor process. And then when they go home with baby, I go with them as well to help them ease into a transition of what to expect in the first couple of days. We don't do anything medical. We strictly support them mentally, emotionally, physically, and through evidence-based information. So it was my own traumatic birth experience that kind of drove me down this path. And we were one of those parents that, hey, let's just wing it, like our great grandparents did it, and they had like 8 children. So what's so tough, right? And well, it was really tough. We were doctorless for an hour. And so that, in essence, the birth itself was already very traumatic because, we were being told that the baby was in trouble, and the doctor used very fear-based language with us. And we wanted a second opinion, and the doctor decided, okay, we want a second opinion, go for it. And so we were left without a doctor for an hour. Long story short, we gave birth to our daughter safely. She's 2 years old now. And into parenthood, like the whole postpartum period was just a hit in the face because nobody really talks so much about postpartum. And it was just like, oh my God, is this supposed to be this hard? Like, you've got this cute bundle of joy and baby's crying and you're not understanding what to do. And so I spiraled into depression as well. And then it didn't help that my husband was flying all the time. And at the same time, because of being in depression, it also affected my marriage. So there was so much going on. And I actually remember sitting in bed and so my daughter's name is Lara. She was, I think, 3 weeks old, and we were kind of like, it was 2 a.m. in the morning. We were having this crying competition. She was crying and then I was also crying because I just didn't know what to do. And at one point I looked at my pillow and I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to shut her up. And I felt so angry with this little baby. And it's like, you just don't know how to come to terms, or you don't understand what you're feeling. And I was very fortunate because my mom was helping me. And she told me that this baby didn't ask to be born. You and your partner decide to have a child. And now this child is here in this world. And it's your responsibility to understand and love and nurture this baby. And I think that for me was the one that flipped the switch. That for me was the one that went, okay, you know what? Like I have to just own up and take charge. If I don't know how to do it, then I learn how to do it. And that kind of sparked me to go down this journey because I realized that a lot of women, a lot of parents, they don't take that preparation. And sometimes, when you've got the internet, you've got parents, friends, different support groups, so many people telling you what to do. It can be very confusing. And so I created Blooming Births, and our philosophy is to basically create and nurture positive and meaningful experiences. And the main practice in which the main values, the 2 values that I base my practice on is firstly looking inward. So what does that mean? Harnessing our inner strength. It all boils down to the self. When we have a strong mind, no matter if there's like a typhoon, we can always stand rooted on ground and face whatever that's going to be coming towards us. And just holding the space for mothers, holding the space for parents, and being like a sounding board, being someone to just listen and assure them that everything's going to be okay, and help them, guide them through that process, helping them come to terms with their own vulnerability. So that's how I got here.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing with us about your experience, Chantel. Well, it seems like 3 out of 3 of us here had to deal with symptoms of depression. So, I mean, the figures could really be more than 1 in 7, We've got somebody on Suni with us here on our channel, and she related her story as well. Michelle, you want to read about it? I think she didn't realize she had postnatal depression, actually.
She cried every day. She dreaded every time when morning arrived like a new day, because it meant that she'll be alone for the next 1 whole day, basically. She was a first-time mom. A lot of pressure from everywhere, also questioning her about how much milk the baby had and everything. And it didn't help her because on top of that, her baby was a preemie at 35 weeks. So very needy, needed to be carried the whole day. So that, I think, kind of added on to her depression feelings.
Yeah, so virtual hug to Suni out there. I'm so sorry. I think we all brave that and come through. So Chantel, in your experience, how do we identify someone who has postnatal depression?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, before we go down the route of how to identify somebody with postpartum depression, is to understand that there are actually several different postpartum mood and anxiety disorders. So, the first one, which is not a mental health issue, is the one that's very common, like the both of you have spoken about, which is baby blues, postpartum blues. And then followed by postpartum depression. It's broken down into other categories such as postpartum anxiety, such as obsessive compulsive disorder, PTSD, so post-traumatic stress syndrome, as well as panic disorder. And the last one, which is the one that's the most serious, is postpartum psychosis. Often mothers who suffer from postpartum psychosis, they don't really know that they're going through that, and what happens is that they can actually harm their baby and even harm themselves, and that's like the most extreme of the mood disorders. Okay, so if we're talking about postpartum depression, then there are many factors that contribute to postpartum depression, and the number one factor is trauma or complication from childbirth, followed by the stress and expectation that we have from everyone and sometimes from ourselves. So postpartum depression often happens within the first few months after giving birth, especially in the first 4 to 5 weeks, because that's when everything is so new. You are recovering, you're trying to understand this baby, you don't really understand what's happening. And at the same time, there is a change in an identity shift within yourself and also with your partner. And so can you imagine this one transition? So many things are happening. Obviously, it's going to throw someone off guard, and it's going to cause a lot of stress for a new parent, right? With that said, depression can suddenly creep up, or it could have been with you during pregnancy and you may not have realized it. And once you gave birth to your baby, because of how everything else, the stress of everything just amplified, then it can actually kick in. So some women are actually at higher risk of postpartum depression. So women who have had depression during pregnancy are most likely to experience depression after babies here. Any past history of depression, any family history of depression, very, very little support emotionally, financially, and even any existing issues with your marriage or with your relationship. Okay, an unplanned pregnancy or a very negative confinement experience. And so some of the really common signs that you can look out for is a mother having very low energy, just having very depressed mood or very severe mood swings. Like one moment they're like happy and laughing, and then the next moment they're like angry and screaming, and then at other times they're crying excessively. Depression may also lead to not wanting to bond with your baby, finding that, I don't want to hold my baby, like my baby is crying and it's so annoying, like take the baby away from me. Those are also signs that a mother is experiencing depression. Another very common one is withdrawing from your family and friends, not wanting to socialize or not wanting to talk. And just like Michelle, she said she spent like a year not eating dinner, loss of appetite, or even eating more than usual is also a sign of depression.
That would be maybe.
Yeah. So some people overeat. I think I fall into that category when I get really upset or very depressed. Or I would just eat my hearts out, and then feel really horrible after that. So
they get more depressed.
Yes, exactly. So it's like different ends of the spectrum, right? And obviously inability to sleep, or sleeping too much. When you are feeling the stress of the world and emotionally you're just so upset, sometimes you sleep a lot. You feel really, really tired. You may not be doing a lot, although I know being a new mother is quite a lot of work, but you may just be staying at home and not doing much. If let's say somebody else is watching your baby, you may still feel like lots and lots of fatigue. You may start to reduce any interest in the activities that you used to do. And it can also lead to intense anger and frustration. There's a lot of self-doubt. There's a lot of, they use words like, I don't think I can do this, or, you know what, I'm not a good mother, like I don't want to do this anymore. And the biggest one I've heard is, I don't want to do this anymore. And what does I don't want to do this anymore mean? It's quite scary because, the last thing we want is to have a mom attempt suicide, right? And so it's very, very important to be able to pick up all these signs. Feelings of like shame and worthlessness are also some signs that a mother could be spiraling down depression as well. Panic attacks, just having a lot of anxiety. So these are the signs that one should look out for. And family and friends and even partners, if you have a strong bond with your wife, with your partner, then it's very, very, the chances of you being able to pick it up is much higher. So always check in with them. It's so important that new mothers who may suffer from depression, that you are able to identify it and you're able to treat it early for the sake of the well-being of the mother and the baby, because untreated depression can lead to a lot of adverse outcomes that sometimes may down the line actually affect the bond between a mother and child. It can also affect the intellectual and emotional development of the child. And the biggest fear personally for me is that it trickles over and it affects the child. And then this child grows up with, certain limiting factors about how they see the world and about themselves. And it's a behavior that goes in circles unless someone is able to identify it and get help and break that cycle.
That's very true, actually. I think it's so important that we know how to recognize the signs of postnatal blues and or depression, so that moms actually, give them some kind of assurance. I wouldn't say just new moms, even second-time moms, because I've heard of like first-time moms, they are completely okay with their first child, and then they've got like subsequent kids, and then they suddenly get hit with depression. Is that something that can happen, Chantel, from your experience?
Yeah, definitely. You can be a mom of 1, you can be a mom of 10 and still experience depression, because every child is a different journey. And when you have a family dynamics of 4, 5, 6, it's completely different, right? And the different milestones of each child can also impact like their behavior, and then managing school and managing the house, managing the different academic levels or the emotional levels that the different children, different age are at. So it is very stressful. And honestly, I am only a mom of 1. And so I admire parents like the both of you, like you have multiple children, and it looks are deceiving, but you've got it together, right? So for me, even till today, there are moments where I fall into this depressive state because I really don't know how to handle my toddler sometimes, and the main thing is mom guilt. I tell you, every parent has this mom guilt, like that drawing that line between like, okay, I need to have a meal for myself, but then my child is crying for me, or I have to help this child with the homework, and then the other child needs to do something. It's like, what about me? So it's a fine line between your needs and mom guilt. And so yeah, definitely, it doesn't matter how many kids you have, postpartum depression, or rather depression, it can happen anytime to anyone.
So having said that, now I mean we are better aware of things that we should look out for in our friends. I'm not going to have a kid, and I don't know about her, but so what are the things you can do? I mean, like what if somebody they are not sure whether they have postnatal blues or depression, and then you know that this person is not behaving the normal way they are. What are some of the avenues that you feel they can get help?
Okay, so before we actually talk about that, I like to get everyone to start thinking, it's like when we have a disease that comes out, we then focus on getting the medication to fix this disease, right? How about thinking of a preventive measure starting at the beginning first before we actually get sick, just as an analogy. So for those of us who, if we have friends or we have new expecting parents, then it's really helping them to identify and prepare for this journey, right? Give them the tools, the resources, strengthening their minds and changing their mental perspective, understanding where the resources are so that they can equip themselves and understand that, okay, I'm going to be a parent now. There are going to be challenges and there are going to be days where it's going to be hard. There are going to be days that it's going to be easy, and that's okay. So being able to identify, acknowledge, and accept that there is a big change that's going to come. And the thing is, I'm not sure if the both of you have heard of this term called matrescence. Have the both of you heard this word called matrescence? So
How do you spell it?
So MATRESCENCE.
No, I'm sorry.
No,
Cheap
no
for
worries.
me.
So the term matrescence, right? So we have adolescence, right? So adolescence is the time when we became a child to a young adult, right? We go through puberty, our body starts changing, the hormones has changed as well. And matrescence is essentially that. But for a mother, it's the transition of becoming a woman to now a mother. The thing with adolescence is that there is an ample time for that change to take place. You know, it's not like you suddenly sleep and then you wake up and you have a pair of breasts, that kind of thing, right? That it's a gradual shift.
Wow.
But matrescence is exactly that. It's that shift from one stage in your life to another, but it's an immediate shift. You know, so every parent, every mother goes through this period of matrescence where they are immediately, just overnight, they become a mother, right? And they expect themselves to know everything. In actual fact, we should be telling parents that it doesn't mean that, you know, a baby came out from you, that you immediately know how to be a mother or a father, and that it's okay that you don't know how to be a mother and father, and that you have to learn. Because however many years it took you to be the person you are today, to know what your likes are, to know what you don't like, it took a while. And that's the same with parenting. I think my child is 2, I'm still like winging it. I'm still going like, yeah, I think this is okay, you know, and I don't think that's ever going to change. And so it's just understanding that, hey, this is a huge shift in our life, and it's gonna, you know, some days are gonna be good, some days are gonna be bad, and that's really, really okay. And number 2, support. Having a support system really, really, really helps. Yeah. And so these are some of the preventative things that we can do before we get into the essence of parenthood or motherhood. Okay, but for some of us, and for those of us who already have a child or have multiple children, then what can we do, right? Firstly is to be able to be aware of yourself, be aware of your mental state, to know that, okay, am I getting angry now? If I can feel the energy within me rising, then I know, okay, hey, I either have to try and take a time out and get somebody else involved, and if there's no one else in the house, just make sure that your child is in a safe place. Go and lock yourself in the toilet for 2 minutes. Breathe in and out. Breathing exercises are so important. Calm yourself down first before it gets you to an explosive state, or a state where you might do something you might regret later. Some of the things that a postpartum doula can do is actually be a support person there, giving you that guidance on how to take care of your baby, how to do breastfeeding, what are the signs to look out for, making sure that in the first couple of weeks you have like a strategy in place, like you know what to expect and what you can do to overcome this. And for second time or more parents, it's just giving them that resource, you know, like, okay, now that you have baby and you have child number 1 and child number 2, how can we integrate that? How can we integrate your time together? How can we manage the structure and be flexible about it? So kind of putting together, I like to say, like a game plan How can you spend time and bond with your 3 children or 2 children at the same time having some time for yourself? Yeah. And sometimes these parents, they really just need a listening ear, somebody to just hear their struggles and help them glorify their struggles. Why do I say glorify? Because I don't think our struggles are anything to hide. I think we should be able to talk very openly and be very courageous and proud about the struggles that we go through, because we can only learn from everyone else, right? And so helping them, giving them the resources and coming up with a game plan is a way to go.
You made a very apt point, actually. That's what actually our Parents Huddle is for. We're hoping to bring together a community, since nobody can meet up often, that you can tune in every Monday to just to share, to say that, hey, this didn't just happen to me, it happened to so many other people. I'm normal, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it does take a village to not just raise a child, but to actually support a mother as well.
It does. So to me, what really, really hurt me the most was when I was pregnant, right? I don't know whether the both of you experienced this before, but when I was pregnant, everyone was like, oh, you need to eat well, come, sit down, rest. And then once the baby came out, it's like, oh my God, this woman never existed. It's really all about the baby. Is the baby okay? The baby is crying. What about the mother? The mother is crying also,
I think that's quite normal. I guess it kind of happens almost to everyone, right? I'm not too sure about that though.
No, I think what Chantel mentioned is totally true. I felt so non-inclusive, like I'm not a human being that should be cared for, but I think that's super wrong.
Vessel. It's just a vessel.
I felt like, oh, I'm just a giving birth vessel or device. Like, okay, I gave you a cute little baby and now here she is and now it's all about her. But I think you make a very valid point, and I think all of us have felt maybe this way at some point, like, oh, I don't really matter, but it's not actually. We should try and focus, like, if we have friends and family, if you're listening and you have any pregnant moms or moms that just gave birth, ask the mom first, hey, how are you today?
Yeah.
She's a mom and she will make sure that her baby is taken care of. You don't need to worry about it. Like, moms are just built like that. But if the mom, that's the other question, hey, have you eaten? Like, instead of, hey, the baby eat how many ml?
It's like enough milk or not?
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think you make a very valid point. Yeah, I didn't think of that actually. Yeah, that's true.
And it's really important to let everyone know, and like you said, friends, family, like just as much as your baby needs to be taken care of, a mother also needs to be taken care of. So when it's your child's birthday, when it's your baby's birthday or your toddler's birthday, you buy presents for your kid and you say, oh, baby, happy birthday, yay, and you throw a party. But in an essence itself, I always feel it's very sacred, and I think it's a good thing to celebrate the mothers as well, So happy birthday to baby, but happy birthday to mother as well, because the day that she gave birth, she essentially became a mother, right?
You should start a trend. No baby shower, mother shower.
Happy birthday day, not birthday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, every mom needs to be loved and cared for. Yeah, it's like maternal health is something that is such a big thing, and yet a lot of people don't really talk about it. And so if we can shift society's perspective, one birth at a time, one family at a time, just to make an awareness that, hey, mental health is so important, Yeah, and we have to take the steps.
Especially when the mother is not well, they can't take good care of the baby, actually.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think more. Can I just sum it up? I think more importantly is not just the mom managing her own expectations before birth, but also the people around managing the expectations of the mom, taking care of the mom first. And then I think at the end of the day, also need to ensure that there's self-care. And never, for the mom themselves, I think it's important for all of us to know that there is help out there, and never be afraid to ask for help if you need, even if it's just to take the baby for a little while. I think that's a completely valid way to actually help yourself and to I think it's super important for you to acknowledge that yes, you do need a help.
Yeah. Definitely, I agree with you completely.
Okay, thank you for joining us. Is there anything that you think you can share? One last sentence to sum it all up about postnatal depression?
Oh, one last word. A bit hard to put it in one word.
One sentence.
So I would say it is so important to be kind to yourself. It is so important to have compassion for yourself that yes, there are days that it's going to be hard, and that's completely okay. It's completely okay to have negative feelings as well. It's completely to go like, oh my God, my child is just, it's okay to feel like that. And that doesn't make you a bad parent. That doesn't make you a bad mother. Yeah. As much as you want to take care of your child, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And so you need to give yourself lots of kindness and compassion.
Well put. Yep. Thank you, Chantel, for joining us today for the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Chantel.
You're most welcome.
All right, we'll see you around soon.
We'll see you around soon.
Take care. Stay safe. Stay safe. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, that was a really lively discussion we had with Chantel. This is the first time we are doing it like coffee table style. No table. Coffee. I don't drink coffee, that's why. But I think postnatal blues is something that we all have to be very mindful that it does happen, and that we need to take a lot of care of ourselves. And if you are already aware of the risk of having postnatal depression, as Chantel shared earlier, that there are some warning signs, and in pre-birth itself, you already have a little bit of negative feelings. Maybe it's also, maybe you belong to the higher risk group. So, well, if you have thoughts like this, please do let your partner know, or the family know. If not, your close friends maybe. Go out, meet some mothers to be, and maybe they can help you along as well. I think that's really, really important.
Definitely. So
we've got some.
We actually sourced out some professional helplines and links that are available in Singapore. If you have not sorted out yourself yet, I think these are really helpful. The first one we source out is Postpartum Support International. They're actually an international organization addressing postpartum depression and other postpartum struggles actually for women all around the world. However, they have also tied up as an organization with KKH. They work hand in hand. So below, this is the PSI. Funny that it's called PSI, but PSI helpline, 1-800-944-4773. I'm doing like an editorial for some new product. Okay.
They gotta pay us. Giving something that maybe you feel that will be useful to parents around you, your friends, maybe those who are watching. Quite a lot of our audience already have kids. You may be a bit more aware. So our Parents Huddle is really for those who are intending to have kids as well, people around us, and those who are expecting having babies as well. So Michelle just shared with you the helplines.
It's a toll-free line, obviously it's 1-800, and also if you want to read up more, you can go to their website. It's a very simple website, but basically very direct of what kind of, if let's say you can't remember what we talked about today, you can always go to their website, read up what kind of symptoms you have to look out for, and loved ones, family, and close friends, if you are watching this and you feel that maybe your friend or your family member needs help, please reach out to them. Sometimes that's all that's needed to open them up and to start talking. So one more helpline that we have found, which is directly from KKH, our Women's and Children's Hospital in Singapore. We can actually call this number in red, if you can see from the picture. I'm not sure whether I'm pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, kind of like mirror image.
Or you can email them at pnd@kkh.com.sg. to seek professional help if, let's say, you can't, find any other solutions otherwise. So please, please, please go and get the support that you need. If you don't feel comfortable posting any comments, you can always drop us a little message in our inbox, and we hope really help today. And we hope you also liked and shared this live Facebook video, so if we can, help others in our Parents Huddle community and reach out to more people, basically.
Yeah, every week we are on with different topics. We won't always be talking about postnatal blues. So every week we focus on different groups of babies or pregnant moms, and we've got 4 Mondays a month that we do our Facebook Live, which is Parents Huddles on Monday. And so today we are focusing on pregnancy and birth itself. So we talk about postnatal blues. Next week we will be focusing on newborn infantis and a topic that's related to it. That you can always check out our events calendar on Facebook. We have to apologize. We love to run this on Instagram, but it's not working out very well for us, and it's not streaming. So at the moment we are keeping it to Facebook and hopefully on YouTube later on as well. So join us, let your friends know about it, and like Michelle said, share with your friends so that they can join and basically build a community, learn from each other. All right, and if you've got any comments, please send us private message, or you can just post your comments on our wall. That's fine as well. Either ways, we get it. Yeah. Next week we will also still have safety aspects. So every week we try to incorporate some safety aspects. Except for weeks, obviously today we talk about postnatal blues, and it's something that we took out of the series for today. Yeah. So that's all for today.
This is Pauline
and Michelle.
And we see you next week.
See you next week. Thank you for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.